Oh, what's up, Twitch? It's the dads. We're back for round 4 of Modern here at the Team Trios at Game Castle in Ankeny, Iowa. I am here with Stefan,
The Full,
Jeremiah,
Hello.
and my name is Blake.
We got all the dads in the house today.
Yeah.
Well, not all of the dads.
One dad, slightly newer dad.
I do.
Yeah.
I am. I had a new baby just 4 or 5 days ago.
Yeah, Blake.
She's perfect.
Blake running off the high from new baby.
Okay, so I was just talking to Chris about this. So when you have a new baby, you gotta feed the new baby every 2.5 or 3 hours.
Correct.
Okay, so you're awake every 2.5 or 3 hours.
Uh-huh.
Well, at least one of you is.
Yeah.
So you go from sleeping 7, 8, 9 hours to sleeping 2.5 hours at a time. It is rough, but let me tell you, the come up when you get a 4-hour nap is insane.
Just like, high on life.
You're like, I don't even need 8 hours anymore. Give me 4. That's it. We're
4 consecutive?
We are
Just
good.
stick with it afterwards, man. You'll love it. You'll be like, my day is so long.
We are good. Players here gonna take some mulligans. Nate, at the top of your screen on 4-color beans. This is what I would call stock. There's nothing crazy spicy in here. It's Omnath, it's Teferi, it's Ren and 6.
No Jace.
It's beans. Or no, wait, he's playing Cascade Beans, actually. Sorry.
Okay.
There is no Ren and 6. It is Beans, Cascade, Teferi, Leyline Binding, Evoke Elementals. Yes.
Yeah.
Beans all the way down.
So there's sort of 2 versions of the Cascades, right? Some of them run the enchantment Cascader instead of the creature.
Oh, right. The what is it? It has the
Gives your creatures flying or something.
Ardent Plea.
Yeah.
not flying. It gives them the trigger for +1/+1 if they're attacking.
Exalted.
Exalted. Yes, thank
That's
you.
what it is.
Because it's from Alara.
And at the bottom of your screen, we have Jake playing the spicy new Temur Murktide featuring Questing Druid. So this is basically the same deck. It's still Murktide.
Yeah.
It's blue-red tempo. But now they play the Questing Druid, which is the instant speed impulse attached to a Quirion Dryad.
Oh my god.
Yeah, lots of new tech between the 2 decks, and the old powerhouse versus the new powerhouse. Ragavan versus Beans right now.
Yeah. So
And Beans, like we got Ragavan and Beans coming out on curve.
yeah, and it looks like Ragavan connected and exiled a Subtlety. Or Solitude. Sorry.
Solitude, yeah.
Here's a Dragon's Rage Channeler,
Oof.
and it's going to be a Preordain. So, like I talked about with the blue-black deck, the Preordain is a real get for this archetype. Preordain getting unbanned makes this deck very strong.
So he's choosing to bin the Questing Druid.
The Questing Druid went to the graveyard. We are in Scry 2 right now.
And Druid itself represents a good threat in the deck. It's a 1/1 to start.
Yeah, but it's a Quirion Dryad.
Yeah, but then
It's like real fast.
Yeah, every time he plays one of these Dragon's Rage Channelers or Ragavans or what else do they have? Unholy Heat.
Yep, Murktide itself.
Yeah.
It doesn't have any kind of evasion, but sometimes it's
Just a giant dude on
just
the
a big
ground.
dude.
Yeah.
And once it gets past 4 toughness, it's almost unremovable for
Oh,
all of
yeah.
these
Right.
decks. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, the red decks can't kill it.
No.
So, Preordain's all done resolving. We'll head back over to Nate's.
Another Beans.
Nate's got.
Oh, and we're
This
spell
one's getting
snaring.
snared, yeah.
So, do we have another land? Is my question. We could be in trouble if there is no other land.
What is that card? Is that
So-
a full text basic? Or
That
Text
is a
island, I
full
believe.
text island. Yeah.
Okay.
I actually love those things,
Ugh.
too.
So
You would.
Murktide, we haven't had Murktide on camera in a while. The deck has fallen out of favor around here, at least.
Yeah.
But something that I always say about these sorts of decks, Murktide, it's your 50% deck. It doesn't really have any bad matchups. It doesn't really have any good matchups either. When this deck shines is when your opponent stumbles.
Yeah.
So when your opponent mulligans,
Yep.
or when your opponent doesn't draw their 3rd land, or when your opponent,
They don't have curve.
they draw when your opponent draws the wrong half of their deck.
Yeah.
Murktide is able to squeeze in here and do things like counter a spell snare here and there, or kill a creature with a lightning bolt, and they're able to close the gap really, really quickly.
Yep.
And it finished the game before you have a chance to recover.
They can also punish you for taking a bunch of damage from your mana base.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which
Sometimes
is
the
something
Murktide
these
needs to
4-color
connect
decks,
once.
Yeah.
If they miss, I don't know if this one even has Omnath, if this version does, but if they miss on that card and they're not gaining any life, you can get punished pretty quickly.
Yeah, 100%.
Oh, yeah.
We talked about that a few rounds ago when the 4-color deck was on the camera and how painful their mana base really is.
Yeah.
It causes them a ton of damage over the course of several turns, and that really, really adds up when you're getting attacked by 2/1s and 3/3s and 8/8 Murktide Regents. It won't take long for you to die.
Right.
It's so interesting how important the beans are here. Like, that countering that feels so good for Jake.
Yeah.
Like
Spell snare your
spell
beans
snare.
is
Oh
good.
my god, you're it's 1-for-1, but you're not investing the same amount of mana, and now he just has lethal.
Well, those beans, the second beans probably represents 3 or 4 cards here. It's not like, it's more like
Sorry, not lethal. We're close.
pay 1 mana, counter a Tidings at this point.
Right.
Look at all those ley line bindings.
Yep. There'll be 2 mana Leyline Bindings. I don't see a swamp in play here. Nothing from Nate. He's just going to pass the turn back over. And it looks like maybe a upkeep Leyline Binding.
Don't have the counter.
So he'll draw a card from this
we
beans.
do have the counter, actually.
And he shows him a Spell Pierce, which he does not have the mana to pay for. So he did get to draw a card off the beans, though.
Yeah, I mean, mercifully. There is some amount of justice in this universe. The beans have drawn you a card.
Yeah, this bottle's bad news for him, though.
Two Dragon's Rage Channelers in play. This bauble is basically just Ancestral Recall.
Oh yeah.
Looks like he left the card on top when he surveilled here, so all the creatures are going to get in the red zone.
Woof. And there's the
And
bull.
shows him a
Holy
lightning
cow.
bolt. That is going to do it for game number 1. These players are going to get sideboarded. And
Hang on, check the clock.
We will be right back with game 2. All right, these players are getting ready for game number 2.
Ahoy hoy.
Let's see. Nate has just done a little light sideboarding. So,
Little light.
are you familiar with Elder Deep Fiend?
EDF? Hell yeah, I am.
Okay.
I
So
love
we're
this
going
card.
full spike here.
So, I love this card.
Hell yeah.
Back in what was it, Eldrazi Winter or whatever, Elder Deep Fiend was the mirror breaker.
Yeah, you tap down your opponent's board. It has
So-
a merge.
Nate opting to take out 2 copies of Elder Deep Fiend, which is unfortunate that we
You
won't,
said there was no spice in that
that
deck.
we won't get to see it. However, did bring in a Commandeer.
Ooh.
It's a 6 mana counter spell that
Yeah.
that takes control of the of
You
the
could
spell
pitch
that it
cast
counters.
it. Ooh.
Yeah, you could
Only
discard
takes 2 blue cards.
exile 2 blue cards. Is it
Yeah.
discard or exile?
It's exile.
It's exile.
That would be such a good thing. Like,
Hey, man.
Imagine
2
instantly
cards is a lot
discarding.
of cards. 3 for 1ing yourself is
Yeah, better be a big spell.
So-
Taking an ancestral recall though, and drawing cards off your beans seems pretty good.
additionally
The beans
brought
part's
in.
what makes it relevant.
Yeah, exactly. Additionally, brought in a copy of Endurance. We kind of talked about that a little bit in game around 2, was it, where this deck will just constantly 2 for 1 itself, and it does not care.
No.
Because it never ever runs out of cards.
Yeah. If it hits the second copy of beans, the deck free rolls, basically.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, every card is you draw 2 cards and kill a thing.
Yeah, who pays mana for spells anymore?
Exactly. So that's it. Took out 2 Elder Deep Fiends, brought in 2 Commandeers and an Endurance. What did Jake do?
He did some pretty light sideboarding as well. He brought out 1 copy of Murktide, and then 3 copies of Lightning Bolt. I don't think Bolt is doing as much in this matchup against Nate.
Right. If Nate gets an Omnath into play and just starts gaining a bunch of life,
Correct.
It's not like the bolts can kill anything outside of Fury and Solitude. So
And they've already done the
He's on the
damage.
Cascade beans, so there are some creatures, right? Bloodbraid Elf.
he does have
Shard
Bloodbraid
Sage.
Elf and
Sure.
Shard Sage, sure.
Yeah.
But
They've already done the damage at that point. Like
Yeah.
generally, they've gotten the beans, they've drawn the card.
He has other
Although he
removal
didn't
to
see
it,
those.
an unholy heat. You know,
Yeah,
it's
he
not a
does have
situation
unholy.
where he wants a critical massive removal. Mostly his removal is just used to get creatures out of the way so his Dragon's Rage Channelers and
Yeah.
Ragavans can connect. So I could see taking out the Lightning Bolts. It seems fine.
So here's what he brought in, which I think is really interesting. He brought a single copy of Spell Pierce,
Okay.
a single copy of Annul, counter
Enchantment
artifact or enchantment,
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
a single copy of Subtlety, and a single Force of Negation. And I don't know that I necessarily would bring in the Subtlety.
Stop!
Am I saying this wrong?
These players have gotten started here. It is a untapped Hallowed Fountain.
Ladies and
from
gentlemen,
Nate.
a blood vessel just burst inside of Blake's
And
head.
I was literally twitching after he said it the
Yeah.
first time, and I almost flipped the table
Am I
when he said
saying
it
it
the
wrong?
second time. Lorien revealed going to
Oh,
get
yeah.
cycled and find a Zagoth
We
Triumph.
are going to
It's-
convene the council of dads and correct your.
Subtlety.
Zagoth Triumph.
Yeah,
going to hand
ironically, very little subtlety involved in this.
here. It's all fun and games until somebody loses an eye. Back on Nate's turn, going to take a draw step. Does he have the beans?
Well, he's definitely got the second land that, like Lorien revealed, being one of the
I
best cards.
love
in
that
the
card so much.
It's
Lorien
bonkers.
reveals?
Yes, the other ones are fun and
We're
fine.
evoking a Fury.
Yeah, I gotta get that Ragavan out of here.
I guess he can afford to do it.
Like I said, this deck just constantly 2-for-1s itself and doesn't care.
Yeah.
And with a card like Fury, it's not even always a 2-for-1. Sometimes you get to kill 2 or 3 of your opponent's creatures, draw 2 cards,
Yeah.
and
Potentially have a 3/3 double strike.
Yeah.
potentially have a 3/3 double striker.
A 3-turn clock, as we call that. Generally, people have taken 2 damage from their mana base.
Steeman's gonna get shocked in
Yeah, we're already
here.
at 15 here.
Yeah.
These players are playing with blistering speed.
I appreciate that.
Consider we got so much time. That first game took 5 minutes.
No, yeah, I mean, they're playing, but
Stefan is hungry, all right?
I am hungry, this is true.
Consider gonna bin a Mishra's Bauble. and
The
then-
Bobble was already there. He didn't bid anything.
Oh, he left it on top.
chose it, yeah.
Nice. Spire Bluff Canal.
My God, this man is drawing so many
He's going for the
cards.
Southern Monkey here, it looks like.
Do you think he has a Murktide in hand?
Like I
He's just
said,
filling it up?
between Questing Druid and Preordain, this deck just it gets to look at so many cards.
It does, yeah.
Both decks do.
Those
truly.
those were 2 excellent additions to this deck.
It's wild how much card advantage and card selection are like in either case, like one deck is card selection, one is card advantage.
Right, yeah. Jake's deck tends to be looking for specific cards.
Oh, okay.
Whereas Nate's deck just wants whatever cards. Just give me more.
Yeah.
Just volume, yeah.
Yeah.
I can if it's the color of the card I want to evoke.
Right.
It's the sheer density versus quality kind of situation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Although, there are no bad cards really in the beans.
No.
So you're not really.
Yeah,
It's
I
so
don't.
funny.
I don't know if there's any bad cards in either deck, to be honest. Like,
This
there's
is-
Yeah.
there's no real weird cards there.
This is a backbreaker
Yeah,
against Jake.
Teferi the Time Raveler can be very problematic for a deck like Temur Murktide.
Yeah, he needs Jake needs
It
to
can
answer
be.
this.
It's not always, but it can be very problematic.
Oh, we're Force of Negation in that. Yep.
Yeah, and rightfully so. Jake, I think, went up on counter spells, so
Yeah.
Teferi is the opposite of what he wants to see in play. Here's 2 mana for an expressive iteration.
So good they banned it in Pioneer. So we're just gonna make our fifth
Wouldn't it make more sense if it was legal in Pioneer? There's much less powerful things you can do.
Pioneer's not a format I'm
It's very strange.
overly familiar with.
Yeah, I don't know why they took
Well,
it out of Pioneer.
there's nothing free.
no.
There's nothing free. There's no fetch lands. Like, the most busted thing you can do is a turn 3 Grease Fang. And then, like, the Karn deck, the Nykthos, the mono green Nykthos deck. Mm-hmm. They can do some really crazy stuff.
That's a messed up
They
deck.
can do some really crazy stuff, but not until turn 4. Turn 4 is when that thing really starts to cook.
Yeah, I think they took it out of they wanted to weaken the Phoenix deck, and that's why they banned it. But Phoenix just needed to be weakened in the form of adding additional graveyard.
Yeah, I don't know. Phoenix is still one of the best decks. In the
It's still very
format, so-
good, yeah. There's because we don't have as much graveyard hate.
Yeah. Jake just doing a little cantripping that turn. He'll pass back over to Nate.
Girl, why you cantripping?
Nate's gonna go in the tank for a minute. I see
Spell
a
Pierce.
Unholy Heat, a Spell Pierce, and another land in Jake's hand. So
Spell Pierce that? Spell Pierce.
Looks like going to be an endurance here.
Yeah. So it's always interesting when
it's not
players
holy.
choose to pull the trigger on these endurance. Some players are trying to avoid a big Murktide. Some players want to use them in a more reactive fashion.
Sure.
It's interesting that Jake is just letting his graveyard go here. It was fully stocked for a Murktide.
He doesn't have any good cards in his hand. It's just a Spell Pierce and a land. So I'm actually kind of shocked that he pointed the Unholy Heat at it.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Granted, he wouldn't have had Delirium anymore had his graveyard gone away. So, I mean, you get to kill a thing as opposed to you not getting to kill a thing. But
That fully stocked
Yeah, but if
graveyard
you,
was pretty sweet.
in this exact situation, you untap and draw a DRC, you're
Yeah.
going to wish you had the spell.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because now that
yeah,
DRC
that's what
is
I'm.
much-
Yeah, that's what I'm getting at. You know,
I would have spell pierced that, I think, but
you can't
who
Spell
knows?
Pierce an
There's a
endurance.
Shardless
Oh,
Agent.
is it non-creature?
About to get our
Yeah.
first
Oh,
copy
that's
of
right, yeah.
Beans on the stack here. Now's probably where the Spell Pierce comes in. Yep.
Okay.
Surveils and keeps it
Fair,
on
fair,
top.
fair. I mean, I don't think Jake's out of it at all. It's just he only has...
No, Jake is ahead.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's able. He was able to keep Beans off of the battlefield.
Yeah.
He made him use his endurance in a proactive or a reactive way.
Nate's hand should be like a full 7 cards right now, and it is not even close.
No,
Like,
I
in
believe
the
he has
ideal game.
2 or 3 cards in hand.
Yeah.
I think it's just 2 actually.
Ideally, Nate would be drawing double cards for all of his spells.
Well, one of the scary things about the Bean deck is one pebble starts the avalanche. You know.
Right.
So-
Right.
Or
One bean.
One bean. Yeah. One bean
Must
starts
have
this
been-
like.
And here is an Omnath. That's going to.
Okay.
Okay. So
we
here,
are seeking the
We
beast.
love this.
here is a questing
Exile
druid in
both.
response. So surveil a Dragon's Rage Channeler to the graveyard, and then another questing druid and a polluted Delta get exiled.
So he can exile. He can
So,
cast that
yeah,
other side from exile.
He can do this again.
Yeah.
And if he hits a mystical dispute, he'll be able to counter it. So Island gonna go to the graveyard, and then a Bauble and another land gonna get exiled. So he didn't draw the answer for Omnath. That's okay though. He drew a ton of cards, so now he can play these 2.
The bobble and the.
Oh, he doesn't have green mana, does he?
No.
So he could play a polluted Delta, get a green mana.
Yeah. Get the overgrown tomb, or the.
What he needs is a
Not
way.
the overgrown
What he
tomb,
needs
the-
is more colored spells so he can start growing these druids.
Yeah. Which he has so many lands in play now. Like he has to.
So
He has
he's
to have
gonna-
like a dearth of non-lands in there.
Looks like he's going to take 3 and find a breeding pool.
So now he can turn these things into threats.
So he has creature and land, an instant in the graveyard. So he's not delirium yet.
He
does
has
have
an
a bobble.
artifact. Yeah, he's
So
got a bobble
he can
cast.
he can get delirium on.
Okay.
command, basically.
All right. So I think basically, what he needs to seal this deal is a way to kill that Omnath. If he can find another like an unholy heat.
Another Darcy into play to get a counter on the.
So
druid
we'll
here.
surveil
Double
Chu here,
surveil,
and
yeah.
he's just looking at so many cards. It's
Yeah.
insane. Looks
Yeah.
like he did keep that one on top. So maybe the Bauble will get cracked here to draw that card in the upkeep. Not sure what it is.
Might be an unholy heat if he is.
Yeah, that's what he
delirium.
needs. He needs an unholy heat to be able to kill the Omnath. So
I'm like sitting at the edge of my seat right now watching this. It's wild.
DRC gonna hit for 3. He's gonna bobble his opponent, and then it looks like a pass and
Was that-
draw the card.
was that
I
an
believe
unholy
it. I believe it
Holy
was an unholy
Christ.
heat. He should have done it in the upkeep though, because now he gets to gain 4 life.
Yeah, he gets to make his land drop.
I
Can't respond to
believe.
that.
I believe it was an unholy heat.
If he goes to cast a spell though, you unholy heat it.
I like doing it in the upkeep just so he doesn't ever get a landfall trigger. But maybe it wasn't an unholy heat.
So does he have an answer for the beans coming out? Because he has answered every other bean.
Thinking one bean is a little dangerous. It's when you hit the
It's
second one.
the
Yeah,
second one
that
is when
you
it
start-
starts to get
yeah.
crazy.
I think, yeah, this is just he's gonna draw a card off the bean.
But the other thing is this druid does have the ability to just turn into the abyss pretty quick.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it doesn't have any kind of evasion, but who needs evasion when you got a big
Right.
body?
Right.
That's what I always
But
say.
it's also the only creature he has that can block.
Ragavan gonna go to the bin.
So he's counterspelling the beans. Okay, so beans are that is the Mercadian Mask counterspell too. Mwah, beautiful.
Yeah, I love that one's flavor text.
Looked like it was an impressive spell.
Yeah, so that was a counter spell that he left on the top there. It wasn't an
Yeah,
unholy
okay.
heat. His sleeves look a little bit like the the full art The full art RCQ, Unholy Heat.
Oh yeah. With
His
the
sleeves look a
doggies.
little like it, so I think I flashed.
Those
those
are the unholy heats he has in the deck,
Right.
and so that's why I was
a little
like,
flash
yeah.
of a little flash of that was actually the sleeve, not the card itself. But here is a Fury getting cast off of this mana, so this Fury is going to get a stick around.
Not a huge come into play effect, right? Because
Yeah, he only gets to kill one creature.
Yeah, and he doesn't draw anything off of it.
does throw away the DRC to a block.
Unfortunately, Jake not in a position to race at this point. He will untap. And we gotta draw a good card off the top.
Yeah, I think he's wanting. He would like to maybe see a Murktide, some big creature, and also get this druid into play.
I
and
really
just
think
kinda
he
chop it
needs
up.
two things. I think he needs another threat and a removal spell. Otherwise, he's just gonna die.
Yeah, he does have the druid hanging out on adventure.
Right. I was counting that.
But,
So
yeah.
I mean, he needs something. He needs the druid that he has already, another threat, and a removal spell, or some way to interact. Like, even if it was just a brazen borrower, something like that, to just get.
He can buy himself a little time if he drew a Murktide and used it to remove Delirium. He would pick up another blocker and pick up one more turn, maybe, depending on what Nate's got going on. But not really a feel-good
Oh, we're picking it
situation,
up.
even
Okay.
if he has the
Looks
Murktide.
like we are done here, but that's okay because now we get a game 3, and
Yeah,
we'll be
this
right
is the
back
first
with that
one.
in just a few minutes. Alrighty, it's time for game number 3. Jake is going to get us started off with a Steam Vince and a Ragavan.
Going to 17.
Jake did mulligan to 6 here.
It's not. Yeah, I think that's totally fine though. Turn 1 Ragavan, notably okay.
Ragavan, very good. Sometimes it's the dash Ragavan that's better.
Oh my god, yeah.
That
I often fall into the I'm gonna cast this Ragavan trap, and I'm like, I should have kept that in my hand so I could just get it in once.
You don't have to worry about the fetching.
Looks like a Lorien revealed.
Yeah, he's getting that really revealed before Jake can steal something from his deck.
Fitting his deck, so there's more likely to be
Yeah.
a spell on top.
How often does the Ragavan?
Did you buy into that? I mean, I know the math is there, but
The math is there, but
He needs to exile at the top.
if your mana base is fragile,
Oh, we got
it's
the
just as
Bloodbraid Elf.
dangerous to lose your one-up breeding pool or
Yeah.
whatever. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like,
yeah, definitely.
It's not thinning. It's just having the cards you need to play the game.
It's going to be a second copy of Steam Vince here. Are we casting this Bloodbraid Elf?
It's 4 mana.
Yeah, he has a treasure, and he already made his land.
Yeah.
yeah.
Tragically,
He is casting something. He's shocked.
that'd be a real sick house. Yeah, he's probably gonna cast like a preordain.
Here is a Preordain.
2 cards.
Preordain sees 2
land.
lands.
Oh my god.
Let's send both of those to the bottom.
It's always interesting to me what do you think the logic is there making the land drop before playing the preordain?
It's got to be thinning. I have played enough cantrips.
Well, he's shocked. He just shocked in him. He didn't fetch for it, did he?
The Steam Vince?
Yeah.
He
He's a
did.
Spell
Yes.
Pierce?
He fetched for it.
He's got a Spell Pierce in hand, right?
He still had 2 mana up with the treasure.
Yeah. That's
So Nate missing the 3rd land drop here.
Woof.
We just took a draw step and passed back over to Jake.
We have
And
a Ragavan
It happened
still.
very quickly. So yeah, Nate missing a land drop. Looks like he kept a 1 land hand predicated on this Lorien revealed.
What are the odds he tears the beans off the top?
I
Well, I
think
think-
that's pretty high, and also, if you don't have any lands in hand, you got 6 cards.
Okay, we got a fire.
What are they? You know,
they gotta
like
be pitch elementals or
it's Leyline
you get Fire
Bindings,
Eyes here.
Solitudes. Like they're all 2-for-1s.
So now this Delirium. We have creature, sorcery, land, and artifact. Yeah, we're in Delirium.
We are delirious.
He just played a 1 mana 3/2 flyer. That
will
guys, that has to attack every
will
turn.
Nate
Beans.
will Nate
Edge
have
counter.
the
It's the
3rd
counterspell
land?
again.
Does he have the third land, though? This is exactly the kind of situation where Murktide wants the opponent to be. Missing land drops, you're exchanging profitably.
You called this, man.
Your counter spells are... This is exactly where you want to be. You're playing this deck because, it's got to be like something like 45 or 50% of games. Your deck just doesn't cooperate with you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Murktide wins those games.
Yeah.
Surveil keeps
it's
the
waiting
card
for
on
you to
top
stumble.
and goes into the EI.
Yeah, that...
Oh, he kept it on top?
Yeah, he did. So now he's going to exile land, probably put something relevant in hand, and then bottom something not relevant. I mean, two mana, 3-card selection. You get to... the card's very good.
I call this Diet Recall.
Diet
I
Recall.
mean, there have definitely been iterations of the modern meta where the person who casts the most EI has won the game.
Yeah.
It's also better than Recall because you can pitch it to Fury.
Or
A
subtlety.
Yeah.
upside. Dragon's Rage Channeler in the
Sheer
red zone.
flexibility.
Does Nate have the third land yet? He does.
Yeah, there it is.
It's
Okay.
going to be a basic plains. Here is a Teferi the Time
We're
Rattler.
just going to bounce, draw.
Let's see if it resolves first.
Yeah, it's...
Jake has
a lot of cards.
11 cards that counter this in his deck right now.
Yeah, he doesn't want his opponent to have any more cards in hand, and that bounce draw is pretty significant when it comes to... Because the DRC doesn't have... The DRC does not have haste.
Yeah, it
So I
buys
wouldn't
quite a
be
bit
able
of time on top of drawing a card.
Yeah.
Looks
Jake's
like
ahead
he's
in a
going to
lot of ways
fetch
here.
for a breeding pool. So does he have counterspell? Mystical Disputes. Maybe it's a Questing Dryad.
Could be Spell Pierce.
Presumably he has some
It is
sort
a
of interaction.
counterspell.
He did leave. Yeah, he did leave the card on top when he surveilled, so I assume he kept some sort of
Yeah.
interaction.
So we binned Unholy Heat there, and now we're force pitching.
Yeah, Solitude.
Good God.
Going to cast a Leyline
A
Binding
dash
here.
drag event here would be pretty sick.
Head back over to Jake. Jake's got, I believe, just 2 cards left in hand. Maybe 3.
He's got a lot of good threats in the deck. He's got a stocked graveyard right now. He could,
Nope, he just passed back over to Nate.
Yeah, just kept a lot of interaction, maybe.
On Nate's turn, he's got a Shardless Agent.
We are seeking the beast.
There's a Beans.
and there's a counterspell.
And Questing
third
Druid
counterspell
is
of the-
going to
of the game.
counterspell up the Beanstalk. So Nate still has a 2/2 in play.
He can cast that subtlety now.
Yeah, you can just hard cast it. At least until the end of turn.
Yeah. I wouldn't hate that, honestly. It's a good body.
I kind of like prioritizing getting this Questing Druid in play so that all of your cards that you play after it get to make it bigger.
Sure.
That being said, Nate's deck is pretty good against going tall.
Presents
Some
bodies.
some decks struggle with cards that go tall. Nate having access to both Leyline Binding and Solitude does not care how big the creature is.
Subtlety just has that evasion that can kind of get there sometimes.
It does.
Yeah.
Well, like the other part of this is Nate is not playing lands, right? So whatever's in his hand are spells, and Jake is maybe conscious of that. Just trying to hold whatever interaction he can up.
A 4-mana 3/3
One
flyer,
thing about
I've heard
playing
worse.
one thing about playing the Subtlety here is that
We found an opening
Oh.
for beans.
is that he did get all of the value out of everything, and that he can still play this Questing Druid.
Yeah.
Whereas if he had chose to play the Questing Druid, the Subtlety would have been gone permanently. You never would have a chance to cast it again. So Leyline Binding is going to take care of the Subtlety.
Yeah,
Okay,
so,
you kind of called this.
Nate kind of getting the one bean to start the slide going here.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's all you got to do. Must have been that bean I ate.
Yep. And Jake with only 1 card left in hand. 2 cards? Just 2 cards left in hand.
Yeah.
Is going to struggle to keep up with this.
You can kind of see it just in the speed that Nate untapped there. Like he's like, oh, I'm in the game now.
Yeah,
You know.
right. We're not dead yet.
The sea change happening very slowly. He's like at 6, but man,
It's wild how he played several turns with only 2 lands in play. And
well,
just,
screw beats flood, right?
just need that is where I was going to segue. Is that screw beats flood. If you have the chance to draw out of your mana screw, so many cards in hand.
Hardcast
Here
Fury.
is a Fury, so that is going to take care of this Questing Druid. Shardless Agent going to get in the red zone. Both players at 9 now.
Wow.
Or sorry, Nate
and,
is at 6.
6 and 9. They both look like 9 to
Nice.
us. Nice.
Nice.
Just in case Spencer's out there listening somewhere.
We'll record this. You can listen to it back. You can hear his dad say
Preordain
nice.
and Island getting exiled to seek the beast here. Questing Druid going to get cast now, followed up by the Preordain that's in exile.
I don't hate this, but that Fury is real scary, man.
Looks like a Preordain and a Dragon's Rage Channeler on top of the library.
This feels like a bottom. No, I'm wrong.
Make a giant Questing Druid. I'm here for it.
Yeah.
Here's
Yeah.
DRC. Here's Preordain.
If you can successfully trade with a Fury, I think that's you're
He
doing
didn't. He
fantastic.
didn't play the Preordain.
I did not. I think he just wants his 3/3 flyer. He's saying, okay, I can kill
Oh,
him in 2
yeah,
attacks
sure.
if I can just gum up the ground.
Right.
Yeah, you need
right.
two hits
Yeah.
and game over.
Is Questing Druid's a 1/1, right?
It's a
It
3/3
starts-
now.
okay,
Yeah.
So it's a
starts as a
3.
1/1,
It's a
yeah.
3/3
Yeah,
right now.
Correct. And if he plays a counter spell, then it'll be a 4/4. It can successfully trade with the.
Sure. My point was that if Nate is able to clear these creatures out of the way, this is a lethal attack.
Oh.
Yeah.
So he needs. Nope.
Is he just going in?
We're just going to combat here.
Okay. We just hold up a blocker for the.
Right. We're in one of those really awkward racing situations.
What are we
where
tapping mana for?
So,
Oh, we're
well,
holding.
this is what's going to win this game. Is the player who has the removal endurance now. This is really unfortunate. This Unholy Heat likely would have ended this game had this Fury taken it, but an Endurance here going to take away Delirium and second copy of Unholy Heat off of the treasure. Let's go. Second copy of Endurance. Oh. It's interesting that he waited until after the second Unholy Heat resolved to Endurance him.
Well,
is
he had
that
the
the
endurance
second-
on the stack.
Yeah, that's the same endurance. That's the same endurance. I
Yeah.
think.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
It was on the stack.
It was the same endurance. I would have lost my. It was second endurance. I would have lost my mind.
Oh, okay. Well, did he pick it up and then put it back
Yeah,
down
he
again?
did.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Okay. All right. That makes sense. So we're gonna head back over to Jake.
Oh my god.
This endurance is so good here, though, too. I mean, the reach
Yeah.
to stop this.
To stop the DRC.
This
Well,
DRC.
DRC's a 1/1 now.
Oh, yeah, it
It's
doesn't
like,
even. Yeah,
yeah, it's-
graveyard's gone.
dude, the amount. So we talked about how like relying on the graveyard for the Murktide is sort of rough, but at the same time, like the whole deck strategy sort of hinges on the graveyard.
It does put a bunch of cards in. the
Unholy
graveyard.
Heat, DRC, Murktide, all sort of put pressure on either establishing or maintaining a graveyard in a very specific combination of cards. And like the endurance just comes in and kicks the door off the hinges and says, "Good luck, loser."
So, Surveil and then, Scry. 3 cards went to the bottom.
Yes,
So
yeah.
he's looking for something very specific.
Yeah, he binned the spell snare and then put 2 cards on the bottom, drew a fresh card. So I really think that removal is what's going to win this game.
Yeah.
Whoever has more removal.
Nate's got an audience out there too.
Yeah, there are a bunch of people standing behind them here.
Rounds have been moving pretty quick.
Yeah.
So it may just
Yeah.
be that everyone else is done.
That's true.
Yep.
You know.
People are clipping today. I love it. This is round 4, yeah?
Yes. Questing Druid in. It's a 6/6 now, so like Jay said, it's
Yeah,
it's
you
just
have
the
to.
abyss.
Yep. And it's going to be a 7/7. So now Nate is basically priced into blocking at every opportunity.
Right.
He needs he needs a removal spell.
Yeah, Jake waited on this consider, so he didn't have to attack with his Darcy.
Yeah. So the Darcy's still a 1/1.
Yeah, just instant and sorcery in the graveyard right now.
Although, like, this would be a great Urza Saga. Like, Urza Saga filling out 2 different card types would be great in the graveyard right now.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Sometimes the Murktide deck plays like a cheeky one of
Yeah.
what is the shock? The Goblin
The-
Shock.
oh, the
yeah.
Tarfire.
Yeah.
So sometimes they play a cheeky Tarfire to do things like this, but generally it is what it is.
Kindred,
the Kindred
now.
sorcery,
I
yeah.
love that. I can't tell you how much I like Kindred just because of Kindred summons is already a card that like
It's also just like I think it's just a better name.
Yeah.
Like phonetically it sounds better.
yeah. It also makes more sense. Goblins are a species. They are kindred.
Right. They're not a
Yeah, they're not a
group of
band.
a group of people.
could call it banding.
Nope, that already exists, and I don't want anything to do with it.
So how does banding work, Blake?
4 mana for a Bloodbraid Elf.
Oh, this is haste too. Ooh.
Does he even have any fiends in his deck? I know 2 of them
might
make
have
counter spells.
one.
2 of them got countered.
Oh no, he's cascading into a cascader.
Yeah, this is how the Bloodbraid Elf works.
That's
It's-
amazing, yeah.
It's Bloodbraid Elf is just Ancestral Recall in this deck.
Yeah.
So, this one will find the beans if it exists.
We're gonna see the whole deck, if not.
I believe he has 1 copy of beans left. Because Nate is playing the version that plays 3 copies of beans.
It's very hard to.
Oh no, there are 2 in the graveyard.
Okay, so we've got.
Yeah.
So he does have the full 4.
So are we countering the beans? The annul. There's the annul.
So the annul, and then he'll also get a trigger for the questing druid, and a surveil trigger.
This is so weird. Like it's. So instant sorcery land in the graveyard now,
It's
or is it just instant sorcery?
It's kind of an interesting dance here, right? Like the annul here could have countered the Shardless Agent. It's an artifact creature.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't think about that. Yeah, you're
Yeah.
right. I was like, annul seems kind of. I
And,
mean, just for the beans, I guess.
Well,
you know.
the leyline
but-
binding too.
Yeah, you're right.
Right.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
annul counters a bunch of stuff, actually.
So like, I'm not
Saving it for beans almost seems wrong.
in this situation. When you're all in on this questing druid, and I don't know the rest of his hand right now. But,
Yeah, it seems
that
like.
questing druid gets binding.
Yeah, you want to. That's what I was going to say. It seems like you want to save that for the leyline binding.
Yeah, Jake maybe over.
Far be it for me to criticize. I don't know
Yeah.
what's in his lane. And
Sure.
I'm sure he's played this matchup.
There's
a
an
million
EI,
times.
so we're gonna get 2 triggers, graveyard, and then he does have a trigger from
So
the questing
it's
druid.
like consider a force of negation and
So
not
should have another
100%
counter
sure
on the
what
questing
that
druid there.
third was.
Not sure that it matters much actually, but missing
Man,
that
that was a
trigger.
heck of a string of spells there. For
Yeah,
me, though. Just
it
to
was.
clog up the board. Again, no evasion on a questing druid. It's just an abyss. Not that that's necessarily bad. But
No, but all Nate needs now is a subtlety, or not a subtlety, a solitude, or a leyline binding, something to get that out of the way, and then he could fire ice. I mean, even icing it for a turn would be dope, right?
Yeah.
He ices it down, gets in, that's it.
I hadn't thought about that. That works
Yeah.
too.
But Nate correctly identifying that he was going to lose to a single removal spell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just sort of gumming up the board.
Yeah.
This is tight, man. This is like okay. He
I
remembered his
do, but
turn.
I don't know if you heard it there, but I believe the judge just called time in the round. So
Okay, so we've got 5 turns now.
Somewhere deep inside of Stefan, that hunger is just sort of screaming it. Like, why? Why did
No,
this go so long? The first game was.
I want you to understand that I love magic more than I love eating.
Oh, I do too.
what?
Yeah,
I do too.
I'm a big fan.
Literally?
Yeah, I will,
You like magic more than you like food.
I will forego eating to play magic.
I always play decks
Oh.
that take a whole round, and I never get lunch during the day.
Yeah.
So I've learned
For
to
you,
love-
this does not surprise
Yeah.
me. That you like magic more than food, that doesn't surprise me at all.
Oh.
This one, though, I'm shocked.
I love food. I do, but like,
But I'm a total gutter snipe. I'll just like eat the candy from the
Right, the
prequel.
candy from the.
And then
I will.
just let
I
it
will
power
live.
through,
I
you know?
will live off of Sprees and Snickers
Yeah.
and Rockstar.
Raccoon eating out of garbage, actual footage of Jeremiah consuming a meal.
Again, Questing Druid doing its best impression of the Abyss here. We'll pass back over to Nate. So I believe Nate would be turn number 1.
So this is 3, 4, 5, 6. This is 6 damage on the board.
And there are
right
no
now.
time extensions on this
No.
game, right?
No, this game does not have a
This
time
this
extension.
started on time. We get 5 minutes to the last round.
You know why?
Blake had to go get food.
Because I got food because I prioritized eating.
I'll get food eventually.
Another counter spell here for this Omnath.
Yeah.
Looks like Jake is going to leave that one on top.
This is the
Omnath will go
fourth
away.
time he's cast counterspell this game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they got shuffled back.
Yeah, it's
But
entirely possible there. And
Here
oh, yes, force
is
of
a
negation.
ley line binding, and that's going to get met with a force of negation. Okay, this is exactly what he wants. Okay,
Yep.
he left that card on top.
Does
Is
he-
it a removal spell?
What do we got? All right, Jake. This is all down.
He boarded out all of the bolts, or did he
did.
leave
Three
a bolt?
bolts.
Did he leave one bolt in?
I don't know if he was running 4. I didn't have a look at the entire deck list.
I feel like the deck probably does run 4. It would seem strange to me not to.
I would. Yeah. If it was my list, there's no way I wouldn't have.
If it
4
were
bolts,
me,
but
I would.
like
I don't know, dude.
Like I said earlier, I could see taking the bolts out, but if there's 1 copy left in his deck,
No, apparently not.
Questing Druid just gonna do another impression of the Abyss.
I've been pretty impressed with this card.
What is the follow up? Jeremiah tried to tell you the card's nuts.
I did a long time ago.
Yeah.
Before it was $10.
Yeah. Well, Blake has one for me. It's fine.
Although watching this here, it really makes me want to play some Temur
Okay,
Timbo
well, there it is.
in Canadian Highlander. So maybe I'll just hang on to that Questing Druid.
Well, I might have to pick up my own deck. I need a whole playset if I'm going to play in a modern anyway. Oh my god.
$10, really?
Yeah. There.
Oh wow! When I opened it, I think it was $1.50.
Yeah.
That's why I tried to tell you guys.
Yeah. No, I was.
No, I
listening.
knew that the card was good.
Yeah.
I just didn't imagine that it would get up $10.
It's up to Hamilton range.
It'll drop back down.
All about the Hamiltons, baby.
It must be nice. It must be nice.
Here is 2/3 mana
Is he cycling?
to vary
Oh.
the Time Raveler.
Okay.
There's another card that's
Yeah.
really good
Okay.
against Going
Oh.
Tall. Yeah, Going Tall
Oh.
just not very good against this deck. Here's another Questing Druid.
So we're gonna
Seeking the
bin
Beast.
and then exile 2 cards. Is it a counter spell?
It's a Murktide Regent and a Mishra's Bob.
That is a game winner there. So if you can,
Well, like it has been.
oh,
for
he's
quite
gonna
some
bounce
time.
the
If-
he's gonna bounce the druid.
if-
Yeah, he's.
Of course he is.
Yeah.
But that does give him another Seek the Beast.
Well, again, what he needs is a way to kill this endurance so this Dragon's Rage Channeler can attack.
Yeah,
That's
can
what
reach.
needs to happen.
Did you know that endurance is reach?
The Questing Druid is just a distraction at this point. Like, I would not be surprised if he bounces the Dragon's Rage Channeler.
Oh, he's bouncing. He's bouncing his own
His own Leyline Binding.
leyline binding,
Yeah.
so he can recast it, draw off of it.
Yep. This is the real cockroach maneuvers right here.
Yeah. He just needs to go the turns. Like that's all he's trying to do.
Well, he doesn't want to give him another Seek the Beast.
Yeah,
For sure.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. Okay, so Questing Druid has been dealt with, and here
we got
is
another Shardless
another Shardless Agent.
No beans
Of
left.
course, we know there's no beans
This is
left,
a
so
beanless
this is
card.
gonna
He's just gonna
shuffle
give him
the
his
deck.
whole ass deck.
Yeah, this is just a gray ogre.
Yeah. I've seen worse cards. It's a gray ogre that can die to artifact removal. Unless your opponents see your entire deck. And costs 2 different colors of mana. I don't know where I'm going with this. It's just a lot of weirdness comparing this to a gray ogre.
Potentially slightly more fragile being an artifact.
Jake, deep down in the tank here. I think maybe they were asking whether or not he could look through the deck.
No shards though. Very shardless. Yeah, he does get to look through.
So I believe he's only got 1 copy of Fire Ice left as his removal, and then 2 copies of Solitude.
I shouldn't be surprised at this.
He
game
has
going
another
so-
Teferi.
Well, the first game went so fast.
Yeah.
It did, yeah.
It's a tempo deck versus a control deck. Like
So heading back over to Jake here. Jake will take a draw step.
surprise.
I believe a removal spell just doesn't.
Yeah, and this is turn 3, right?
Yes.
Well, he's got a subtlety.
So he can definitely present lethal on turn 5 still.
Oh, he's keeping it.
Yes.
He's keeping that card on top.
Yeah, plus he has this Murktide that he can cast, and it'll be an 8/8.
Yeah,
so
it'll be full stocked. Is that is Delirium on?
he has Delirium, yes.
So that Dragon's Rage Channeler has to attack.
Potentially, unless he casts the Murktide pre-combat to remove Delirium.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so Preordain is going to go to the graveyard. And we're going to bobble his opponent.
Don't bubble yourself.
How good is that information right now?
I think that like that information is like it's
Did you question
so
Druid
important.
first before you Murktide then?
I mean,
Just to, make it a 2/2.
seems like the correct thing
Yeah.
to do. I don't know if you do.
I don't know
It
what's in
probably
hand.
depends upon
Is he hellbent right now?
Jake.
Yeah.
Jake has 1 card in hand.
Oh, he's
So
at
we throw
one.
in the
Okay,
DRC.
so yeah, DRC got eaten by the Endurance, and
my
he's going to
God.
cast the Questing Druid and now the Murktide.
I don't think, even in the absence of these creatures, that Nate had a way to deal him 9 damage in one turn. I don't think that deck has that ability.
No, I mean it would take like some amount of. Does Omnath's third trigger deal damage to players, right?
Does it?
I never see the third trigger happen.
Yeah, I believe it's I believe the third trigger is Omnath deals 4 damage to target creature to target player or planeswalker.
Okay.
It can't kill creatures.
So we're ticking up to Fairy here.
Or 4 damage to each planeswalker and player.
So is this the last? This isn't last turn.
This is turn 4.
Turn 4.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Jake
Jake gets last.
Jake
turn.
is turn 5.
He just needs a removal spell. No, he doesn't even need a removal spell. He just needs his opponent not to have a removal spell or a blocker for his Murktide and his Subtlety.
Yeah, so a second Endurance probably saves Nate.
Yeah.
And
At least draws
Solitude
it.
probably does it.
Yeah. Nate's going for a draw here.
Does have 1 card in his hand. Did leave it on top when he surveilled.
Yeah.
So,
If he has any kind of counter magic for a blocker, that's all that matters. Is a Fury.
all right. So here come the beans.
Did he?
He's evoking it. Yeah.
Well,
He can't respond to fairies in play.
if he could, yeah, I know. If there was a way for him to play this Teferi and then pick, or sorry, this Fury and then pick the Fury up again and then play the Fury again.
Yeah. He could bounce with Teferi.
But the Teferi has 2 counters on it, right? Or 2 loyalty?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's not an option then.
No,
We had,
he
we had
had
1
to-
at the beginning of the turn.
Oh, he activated the Teferi already? Oh, okay.
I don't think it necessarily matters, but...
Or I guess just a second copy of Fury or Solitude is also good enough.
Are we going to Solitude? Are we Solituding?
It looks like 5 mana.
This is probably just going to be game if he has a removal spell. I don't think he can...
Murktide will go away. Jake will gain 8. And
Yeah, this is...
looks like this is probably going to end in a draw.
wild.
Although, Jake with only 1 card in hand, I think if this game were to play out, it would probably end in Nate winning.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, his board position is very.
He's
although
at-
he's
he's
at
at
1
1.
against a
He
deck
needs a
that has
bolt
red
right
mana
now.
in it. Yeah.
He's at 1. Mishra's Bobble. Gonna bobble yourself. Crack the fetch land.
Oh, I see.
This is a play pattern that I like with Mishra's Bobble. It's like if you have it on turn 1 and you have a fetch land and another land that doesn't require shuffling your library, you can look at your top card. Like if you want to draw that next turn, you play your 1. If you don't want to draw it, you can shuffle your deck
Just needs a bolt.
with the fetch land. It's a lot of like you said, max valuing that information.
Does he have Fire Ice in the deck, too?
Nope,
Okay.
don't think so.
Draw?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe that wasn't turn 5. Okay, we're still playing. Teferi's going to get ticked up here. Here is that 5 mana? It's going to be another Fury. So that'll draw a card with the beans. Questing Druid's going to go away.
Man, this is all gas.
Yeah, Jake has a null and another card in hand. I'm not sure what
Yeah,
it was.
this
Everybody gets
8 damage.
Yep.
Woof. And just gaining that life back.
Play a Windswept Heath and pass back.
That's game.
Jake
Holy
draws
cow.
a Spell Pierce. I thought for a moment the Murktide deck was going to be able to claw its way back in there, but
Well, I think maybe we were misunderstanding time and where they were. in
maybe they
turns.
did have
Yeah.
an extension.
Yeah.
Maybe they did have an extension. So, anyways,
Wow.
Nate's going to take this one down with 4 color beans, but this is a team event. So just because Jake lost doesn't mean that his team lost the round. There is still Pioneer and Legacy games to be played. So that is going to do it for round number 4, and we'll be back with round number 5 real quick.
yeah.
Don't,
Fast.
Don't go anywhere.